Finally, the decision has come, folks. It is the end of an era in women's cricket and in general international women's cricket. Mithali Raj, one of the greatest players in the history of women's cricket and international cricket, has announced her retirement officially. Finally, if we have to say this is the end of the 90s era for most of us, Mithali Raj was one of the last remaining active cricketers from the 90s. She had made a debut in 1999. But after a career spanning 23 years, she has finally announced her retirement. Her official statement has come up on her Twitter handle. In that Twitter handle, in this, she has said, I set out as a little girl on the journey to wear the India blues, as representing your country is the highest honor. The journey was full of highs and some lows. Each even taught me something unique, and the last 23 years have been the most fulfilling, challenging, and enjoyable years of my life. Like all journeys, this one too must come to an end. Today is the day I retire from all forms of international cricket. So, in international cricket, she's officially retired. Maybe when the women's IPL comes up next year, she might play in that. Hi, Rahul, welcome. So, a sad
to
day.
you.
Yeah,
Why? Sad day. You should actually celebrate.
we will celebrate.
Somebody
90s kid, no? The
exactly.
last active 90s cricketer. that we
99,
had.
23 years Mithali Raj played international cricket, and today finally she has announced her retirement. A career that was that it saw a few ups and downs, especially towards the end
Yes.
of his career. In fact, for the past 3-4 years, you would remember the differences. That between Mithali Raj and Harmanpreet, and also some of the coaches. In fact, Tushar Arothe, the women's
yes.
coach, he had to give up his coaching job. Then Ramesh Pawar was appointed, and in the interim, then there were mails sent to the BCCI from various camps that something was not well. So in the last few years, there were a few ups and downs, but still, Mithali Raj, if I am not wrong, I haven't checked. I think she's played 6 World Cups for India.
2005, 9, 13, 17, 22.
I'm saying including T20.
Yeah, including T20s, yes.
Six,
A lot.
6 or 7.
6 or 7. We'll have to check that out. Cross check
6
it.
exactly. So 6 World Cups she's played. Mithali Raj.
What I can only confirm is she was part of 2 World Cup finals, 2005, which put Indian cricket on the map, and in 2017, which really spiked interest in women's cricket.
And absolutely, Shanta Rangaswamy, Diana Edulji were a couple of names that people would associate with when it or would associate women's cricket with.
Yes.
And then came Mithali Raj, Anjum Chopra, and Jhulan Goswami.
Goswami.
All 3 of them, they were perhaps the flag bearers of women's cricket in the early 2000s, in that decade. And now maybe because of their efforts, and they also became role models. Anjum
Yeah.
Chopra, she, you would rarely find a gate named after a female cricketer.
Yes.
And that is here at the Arun Jaitley Stadium
Yep.
in Delhi,
In
of
Delhi,
course.
yes.
And Anjum Chopra, alongside her, is the gate for Virender
Virender
Sehwag.
Sehwag.
So that's quite an acknowledgement and achievement, and acknowledgement of their efforts. And Mithali Raj, a player of the highest order. Jhulan Goswami, we'll have to see if Jhulan Goswami, how long she continues. Remember, there's a World Cup to be played.
Yeah.
And that is going to happen
I think in South Africa.
in South Africa.
Yeah.
And so that World Cup, then Harmanpreet Kaur, Smriti Mandhana,
Shafali Verma.
Shefali Verma. Now new stars have born, and people look up to them. These are household names. Shefali Verma, you mentioned,
Yeah.
a young girl from Rohtak. Nobody knew about her, and today everybody knows Shefali Verma. Everybody wants to emulate her. The kind of she is a household name. People know these female cricketers. Thanks to
Mithali.
thanks to the likes of Mithali Raj, Jhulan Goswami, Anjum Chopra, Shanta Rangaswamy to a great extent, Diana Edulji, all these female cricketers.
I mean, there are records which are made And there are records which are created by Mithali which put her on a different pedestal altogether. 7,800 ODI runs. She is the highest run getter in women's cricket in ODIs. Over 50s. And on top of that, you remember her, more than her ODI achievements, I would say that the double century that she hit against England in Taunton, which helped India beat England. The first series was drawn, but after that, her contributions in Taunton in that series in the early 2000s, in which India won, were all thanks to Mithali.
Exactly.
And in the World Cup in particular, her records are simply, and T20s, okay, you may say strike rate is overrated, but in Mithali's case, 120 strike rate, and she's only behind Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma when it comes to overall runs in T20s.
Yeah, that's fine. But that strike rate, especially towards the end of her career,
that became a big issue.
Became a huge issue because she was so senior to all these players that. At one point, it became a massive tussle between there were two factions within the team. Obviously, Mithali Raj can't take anything away from her. You would remember that the last World Cup that India played, in fact, the T20 World Cup that India played, and India made it to the
semi-finals.
And there she was.
2018 semi-final, 2020 was the final. In which they,
yes, I'm talking about
Mithali's.
I'm talking about the 2021.
Yeah,
so what
final.
happened there? The final, Mithali Raj was dropped from that final. And thereafter, it became a huge issue because I remember Mithali Raj had written to the BCCI that some of the senior players were conspiring against her. And, so not everything was hunky-dory between the senior group of that Indian team. But still, the way Mithali Raj has carried herself on for these 23 long years is commendable.
I mean, yes, that 2018 semi-final and the aftermath that had happened, especially the letters, Ramesh Pawar and Mithali's fallout, it actually did not help. But see, that's how the dynamics and the machinations of Indian cricket work. Ramesh Pawar is back. Mithali did have a chance in the 2022 World Cup, which was played in New Zealand. But unfortunately, India just could not beat South Africa and they were knocked out. So it was, you can say, two heartbreaks for Mithali, three heartbreaks in particular. 2005 final loss. 2017, everybody felt that the force was with India because in 2017, England, Smriti Mandhana was in good form. Harmanpreet was in fact.
In fact, Harmanpreet became the Harmanpreet during that World Cup.
Because of that 171, which dumped Australia out, everybody felt that India had a chance. But unfortunately, England, that collapse, I remember when Veda Krishnamurthy hit it in the air and that collapse which began. It was a very heartbreaking situation.
So close on the heels of that episode when Anil Kumble had to... was rather ousted, although he himself had put in his papers, but you would still think that he was ousted as the head coach of the Indian team. A similar incident happened, although it didn't make that bigger news because it was women's cricket, and at that time Tushar Arote was the coach and he was also removed, and then on temporary basis came Ramesh Pawar. And he was the coach when India made it to the finals, and then also similar things happened. But all in all, Mithali Raj has been, you've already read out her statement. Interestingly, Siddharth, she acknowledged a lot of people. The BCCI president's name was missing.
Yeah, I'd like to thank
and
the
actually,
BCCI. Yeah.
They were contemporaries. If
Actually,
you see,
yes.
They were contemporaries.
Ganguly, made his ODI debut in 92, but he came into his own in 1996. Mithali, 1999. Yes, I'd like to thank the BCCI and Sri Jai Shah sir for all the support I received, first as a player and then as the captain. It was an honor to lead the team for so many years. It definitely shaped me as a person. Yeah, consider this fact. Mithali Raj could have pursued a career in Bharatnatyam. She was an ace dancer. But then she really changed women's cricket totally, and it's a sad day, but you can also celebrate.
Exactly. So that's the news. Mithali Raj, it was expected. It was not the question of why. It was the question of
when.
And it had to happen. And today is the day when Mithali Raj has announced her retirement from
international cricket. That's the key question. So she might be there for the women's IPL.
For the women's IPL.
Get Mithali in for Chennai women's IPL team.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we'll be back later in the afternoon, in the evening, because it's a big day. Tomorrow, India
Versus
will
South
play
Africa.
their first T20 international against South Africa at Ferozshah Kotla or Arun Jaitley Stadium here. So, we have lots in store for you. So, do subscribe and keep watching this space.